Hey everyone, this is Movie Trailer Trash. I'm Bethany.
And I'm Charlie, and we just watched Blade Runner and the trailer for Blade Runner 2049.
That's right, baby. It's time for movie trailer trash. Enjoy.
Hey Charlie.
Hi,
Before we get started, I have a question.
what is it?
Do you have $1?
$1?
Yeah.
Yes.
You do?
Uh-huh.
On you?
Well, not on me.
Okay, well,
In the bank.
if you did, then you'd be able to listen to our special patron-only episodes on Patreon.
I'm running to the bank right now.
Well, actually, it's probably good to keep it in the bank. I
Keep
don't
it.
think they take cash.
Oh, well then.
I mean, it's online. But yeah, check us out on Patreon.
I already know
Yeah,
all
you-
the stuff, though.
You lived through the episodes,
Right.
and you can listen to them whenever you want. But the point is,
The point is this.
for our listeners out there, if you join our Patreon family for as little as $1, you'll get extra episodes. We literally call them MTT Extra. If you're willing to pitch in $5, you'll get special extra episodes.
I like to say that
we don't
when
call
you-
those MTT Special Extra.
We should start doing that, though.
They're just a monthly episode, and those are really special, though.
I like to say when you're thinking about getting something for yourself and it's of a, minimal value like that of $1
You mean
or
minimal cost.
a $5.
The value is
well,
high.
it depends on who's It's just
Minimal
imagine
cost.
if you just like threw some money into the street and you wouldn't care about it, then that's what you would want to spend.
And how often do you throw the money into the street?
Depends on the street.
So you say that a lot. I'll be like, oh, I really want it, but I don't need it. And then you'll say, $5, I'd throw that in the street.
Yeah,
So
because I do.
that's a
It's a problem.
That's a
why I only have
Charlieism.
$1 in the bank.
No, shut up. That's a Charlieism for you. So go ahead and feel free to use it.
Charlism.
Say that to somebody next time.
What are we
they're-
doing again? What's this show about?
Next time they're holding back. Okay. So Blade Runner. We just watched the movie.
Yes, the
The whole movie.
1982 Harrison Ford noir sci-fi adventure.
That's a good way to describe it.
That's exactly what
Um,
it was. I didn't even prepare that.
Well, yeah, good job. I'm proud of you. Yeah, it felt, first of all, really long to me.
Well, it's I think it was over 2 hours long. And also it's very slow just
It
because
is
it's from
so
the 80s
slow.
and it's the early 80s.
Well,
And
okay. At first, I was like, oh, this is interesting.
but like
and
right off the
then-
bat, what did you think? Like what did you think? It was
Oh,
a good, bad?
I
not-
don't like it.
You don't like it,
And
but
that may not
is
be
it
a popular
bad or
opinion.
good?
It's not a bad movie when you take into account that it was made in the early 80s.
See, because I think
If
that
you
almost,
don't take that into account, it is a bad movie.
I think that almost every single problem with it, besides a couple, are
Time related.
because of when it was made.
I would agree with that, but that's what I'm saying. So if it was made today, nobody would like it. I will confidently say that. People would be so bored and they would hate the music. The music and the sound effects were so terrible that at some point I was just like, when is this movie going to be over? Because I can't listen to this weird, like random.
You
There
know
was
what it
no
reminded me
melody,
of?
just
Was
like
the,
random noises and sounds.
It was
and-
kind of like the Star Trek, or not Star Trek, X-Files theme song.
yeah.
That's what I was just humming to myself before we started.
It wasn't very melodic. It was a lot of weird electronic
Well,
stuff.
yeah, and we're coming
like,
off of Guardians of the Galaxy 2, where it just has like
Yeah,
the greatest
where everything's
soundtrack of all
awesome.
time, where
Yeah.
everything is awesome. Exactly.
So that was probably my biggest complaint. It was super slow. That was another complaint, and like quiet. So there was a lot of there wasn't, I guess, a lot of dialogue. Even though
Not
it
really,
was a
no.
mostly dialogue-driven movie, it wasn't super action-packed. Even though it's about a cop chasing after
Well, that's
robots.
kind of what I was thinking about during it. Is that so? Like during the scenes where he finally comes across like the two big bad robot people, replicants.
Yes.
Which, by the way, spoilers if you haven't seen it, but it's been out for 30+ years.
Yeah,
so
we
get over it.
Yeah, get over it.
He finally goes up against those people, and I realized that this is the first time he's seen either of them.
Yeah, he just knows.
He saw those basically mugshots of them
Yes.
and knows them from that, but that's it. He hasn't had any interaction with these two people
No,
or
not at all.
things at all for the entire movie. And the one main bad guy barely says anything the whole movie, also until the very end.
Yeah, he just says a couple things
He has-
here and there, and
he
then
has a
he gets
scene-
real verbal at the end.
He has a scene with that Asian guy who's making the eyeballs that are growing on the back of the mouse.
Yeah, and he's just
And
kind of like,
then-
tell me where somebody is.
And then he has a scene with the weird guy
The
playing
creator.
chess, and he kills him. And
his creator.
but other
yeah.
than that, he doesn't really
he's
he doesn't
basically
really show
just
up.
kind
at
of
all.
walking around, like when you see him. Yeah. So okay, I'd say the main characters are Harrison Ford and some girl. Sorry, I did not look her name up.
Well, it's Harrison Ford is the main character.
Well, yeah, but I'm saying the some girl is another replicant who doesn't know she's a replicant. Okay, and I thought that was interesting. It reminded me of Westworld.
Yeah.
Spoilers for that. Just for 1 second, though. Some of those robots don't know they're robots. Wait, no, that's not a spoiler. You're good, guys.
You're good. Go ahead.
In Westworld, the robots don't know they're robots. So they just feel like they're living a life. So I thought that was interesting. I think that also happens in the show Battlestar Galactica. Some of the robots don't know they're robots.
Mhm.
So, I mean, that's an interesting sci-fi topic, you know, if you can create robots that are so human-like. At one point, one of the creators says they're more human than human.
In Westworld or in
No,
this?
in this one.
Oh, okay.
Isn't that what he said? He said we make them more human than human.
Maybe. I mean, that's a common AI line.
Well, he said that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so anyway,
And it might originate from that because, like I was telling you, this movie is kind of talked about as every other sci-fi, like serious, dark,
sci-fi, yeah,
like
takes from it.
distant future sci-fi. It takes something from this movie.
Yeah, and I mean, I could see that throughout. Like, it reminded me, and I don't know which one came first, actually, but it reminded me of Dark City.
Okay.
But that's probably a very similar time, so it could have came out first. I don't know. But do
Well,
you remember that movie?
Yeah.
It's like, because it's really dark, there's no sunshine at all. Like, the sky is always dark. It's always night. In this kind of terrible, awful world. So that's how it reminded me of that.
Well, here's some things that it should remind you of, because the guy who wrote the book that this movie is based off of, Philip K. Dick, hilarious name aside,
Okay.
has written short stories and books that have inspired like a ton of movies. And
Okay.
So Blade Runner would be the first one.
Sure.
And then he wrote a short story called, and by the way, the book that Blade Runner is called is Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep?
Yeah, I said that. I saw that somewhere.
They showed it a whole bunch of times, which is pretty cool. They normally don't do that
Wait, showed it
um,
a bunch of times.
in the credits on the movie.
Oh, okay, cool. No, I read it online somewhere,
Um,
but
And then he wrote the short story that Total Recall is based off of, which is another like classic sci-fi movie that we
Yeah.
probably also wouldn't like very much.
yeah, probably.
But he also wrote the short story that Minority Report is based off of.
Oh my God.
And so I know that you
Hey!
love Minority Report. That
I was
came
about
out,
to say that it kind of reminded me of Minority Report.
It came out in 2002, and it's very similar, I think.
However, okay, when I was watching it, while we were watching it just now, I was thinking this reminds me of Minority Report when they were talking to the Asian guy who was making the eyes.
Mm-hmm.
Because in Minority Report, there's a guy who gives eye transplants kind of illegally.
Well, and the whole thing of just
And
like
it
the
looks
one
just
guy
like
kind
that.
of on a mission. And I mean, actually, I don't remember Minority Report very well, but I like in this.
Oh, I remember. I've seen it probably 8
and
times.
tell me if I'm wrong, but I think that both of them are not like world impacting things that are happening.
No, it's all, I mean, yeah, you're right. Well, I mean, in the long run.
It's like a big
in the
deal.
long run it is, because in the long run, in Minority Report, he kind of breaks down the system.
Yeah, so like I mean,
He exposes the system for its flaws.
and then like in this, it's like a big deal that these robots be found because it's against the law and they're dangerous and whatever, they kill people.
but it's more of a personal, he
but
has
it's
to go
like-
and hunt them down.
if they,
Also, why? Because they weren't hurting anybody.
yeah, they killed
Oh,
multiple
wait.
people.
The one guy did. The one guy
girl
killed a
did
person
too.
because he thought he was going to be exposed. But the point is that they were just going to kill them just because.
No, they're
They're like, if they come to Earth, we kill them. End of story. They're not
because
allowed here.
they that was that writing at the beginning of it.
I know. Yeah, I read it. It
They
was
like
saying
killed
that
like 30 people
yeah,
and took their
they,
shit.
but not those 4. Just a bunch of robots had a mutiny on some planet, and so therefore all robots are treated like criminals, It's
Yeah.
not fair. I mean, I guess the whole point, the one thing that is interesting about this is the story, the idea behind it. I don't feel like it was executed very well in the movie, but the idea behind, like, if we can create robots that are almost human, who can think like humans, should we treat them like humans? Like he did say that in the movie. He said when they kill a robot, they don't say it's murder or an execution. They don't call it an execution. They call it a retirement. And he also talks about how, like, when he shoots the one girl in the back, he says, I couldn't help but think of, he said tomorrow they'll call this a routine retirement, but I couldn't help but feel
Well, yeah, that was like a
bad
big
and
part
think
of
of
the
Rachel.
movie that
which Rachel is another robot.
they tried to show at like through his alcoholism and kind of his depressed mood all the time,
Yeah.
but never really went into was the fact that he was basically killing what seemed to be real people all the time.
Yeah, and
and
it
people
felt
would
real
like
to
high
him.
five him for it and stuff like that.
Well, okay, that does get to another thing that I didn't really like about it. The story wasn't explained very well. I was thinking about it. I was like, why didn't I like this that much? Well, it doesn't talk about why he had quit being a Blade Runner in the first place. Like,
Yeah,
they're like, he's not a Blade Runner anymore.
His belly was
but we're
full
gonna
of
make
killing.
him. I guess, but I guess they just didn't really explain it. Also, they never explained why they called them Blade Runners, unless I missed something.
I don't think so. They
They
probably
were just
do
like,
in the book.
they call them Blade Runners. Move on. And I'm like, why?
Well, but
There's
see,
no
I'm okay.
blades
I'm okay
involved.
with stuff like that. Like,
I'm
I don't
not.
care about that at
It's
all.
such a ridiculous name.
But like, it
Call
doesn't.
him a cop.
It doesn't mean anything.
Call him
It doesn't matter.
What do you call the robots?
Replicants.
Replicant. Call him a replicant chaser. I don't know,
That's
but
a
why?
that's a mouthful.
Why on earth Blade Runner? So okay, that irritated me. Also, okay, he started feeling guilty after he met Rachel. We don't know whether or not he felt guilty before. Maybe that is why he quit. Who knows? He's kind of just doing it because he's been threatened by the guy. Like, you have to do this. But after
There was some sort of threat of
he says you'd be
little,
a small
like,
guy.
little people is what he said.
But I thought that he just meant, like, he said that basically meant death or something, right?
I think
Or
he
he
just
knows how
meant
they
that,
would live, or
I don't know.
I don't know. I think he was just saying you don't want it to happen. So the guy Harrison Ford felt like he had to go on. So then he shot the girl in the back, and this was after meeting Rachel, and he felt guilty about it. He couldn't help but feel like it was wrong. Then, okay, a guy attacked him. And Rachel saved him by shooting the guy's head off, whatever. So that one, it's like, okay, well, he was attacking you. But then he still went and killed went to kill two others of them. And it's like, I don't get it, because I know you're afraid, but also you feel super guilty. And afterwards, you risk it for Rachel to go off with her. Why
Well,
not
it's
just
like-
go off with her now instead
So
of
it's like
killing
a
these things?
combination of all these different like things that we've seen in movies that may have been taken from this movie. You know
Sure.
what I mean? So it's like, so you have the robots that have
Feelings.
have feelings,
That's the
have
thing, too.
learned that they are
figured out feelings.
like who they are and what they are, and they want to be better. So like
Yeah,
these
they want to
ones,
be whole.
they want to live longer.
Yeah,
Like
they
that's
don't
their
want to
whole
have a
thing.
4-year lifespan. That's fair.
And so there's that whole thing. You have the down on his luck cop who gets pulled back in
Yeah, and he
for
lives
one
in the
final
slums and all
mission
that,
whatever.
too.
He's an alcoholic, all that stuff. And then you have the like one last job and then you're out
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
And so it's like all of that combined. And so like, when you talk about the movie, it sounds
Like a good movie.
really exciting and good.
I know, yeah, it is interesting to talk about, and that's why I'm saying I think that probably the story, whoever wrote the book, it was probably good because it's an interesting story. I just think, like you said, it's unfortunate, but some movies from the early 80s and before are poorly done because they just didn't have the abilities that we have today.
Well, and also there's things that are dated, like the voiceover.
Yeah, the voiceover. First of all, I was like, oh my God, this is ridiculous. But then it kind of made me laugh because, like you said, it was like a noir.
Yeah, I
detective
think that's what
film.
it's supposed to.
And I hope that that's what it's supposed to be. But still, like I was telling Charlie, I was like, nowadays when there's a voiceover, it just sounds like the voice of the person.
Which
it's
in
the voice
this
of the
new
person.
one, in the Blade Runner 2049, I think that there's going to be a
That'll be like that.
voiceover also.
Do you think it'll be cheesy like that?
No.
Because it's like Harrison Ford would literally be talking to the guy and he'd be like, well, I don't know. What do you think I should do? And then the next thing he'd be like, I wasn't sure what I should do. It was like all of a sudden his voice changed so much.
It was like one of
It
those
was
things where he'd like
ridiculous.
sit down and the guy would say, what did he call them? Skin something?
Skins. skin bags or something
Skin
like that.
bags, I don't know, something like that. It was like a derogatory term for replicants. And like the guy that was his boss, that was the cop that pulled him back into the Blade running biz. He
Yeah.
like sat down and said, he's like, we got 4 skin bags or whatever. And then you hear Harrison Ford's like voiceover.
Yeah.
It's like, that's Brian. That's what he likes to call replicants.
Yeah, it was just over the top. His voice was different in his head, supposedly, or in his narrator voice than it was.
I think
and
that
I
they
thought
were
that was
going
cheesy.
for that. I think that
Exactly.
They were going
And so
for
then
that
I was
thing.
like, okay, I can let it go because they're going for that. But then it went a very long period of time without the voiceover until the last
yeah, there's like
robot
45 minutes of
and
no
then all of a
voiceover.
sudden he did the voiceover and it almost made me laugh because I forgot
Yeah.
that he was going to do that and it was so awkward and cheesy.
Well, the guy that Ridley Scott directed this,
Okay.
and this
I've
is
heard
like,
that name before.
Well, he directed the Alien movies.
Okay.
He
fair enough.
directed Gladiator, and
Okay.
most recently, The Martian,
Ooh.
which is a great movie.
So he's directed some great movies, and this movie is also pretty well loved. Am I correct?
Yes, this is like a classic of the 80s, of the early 80s.
Okay, fair enough.
And then
Harrison
also,
Ford.
so 2 things. First thing, I could see that if this is your very first introduction to like dark, serious, weird sci-fi, because you probably just went from Star Wars
Yeah.
to this, and
True.
that you would be like, whoa, this is like a legit, like dramatic movie.
True, especially
that
because it had Harrison
place
Ford.
in the
People might have
future
thought
and
they were going to
everything.
just see an action movie.
Right. And so the people were probably like blown away by it for all of that and all those reasons, and especially that third act with that guy chasing him around
Yeah,
that
that
abandoned
was
building.
cool.
And then the second
I was
thing,
legit scared during that. When the guy was chasing him at the end, I kept plugging my ears, which is what I do when I'm scared.
you know
during
what
a
was,
movie.
it reminded me of a lot, and I think it might just because his shirt was off and he was like had abilities and was chasing him around and being scary, was the end of Split.
Yeah.
Like,
I could see
because he was
that.
like, crawling on the walls and stuff and
He
moving
was,
really quick.
yeah, he was creepy. And I will give it to that guy. Even though he had very few lines, when he did speak, he was a good actor, man.
Yeah.
I was like, ooh, you're scary.
Well, that's kind of the thing that people complain about movies now, is that the whole movie is really exciting and the third act sucks all the time.
I disagree.
It always either just like fizzles out, or there's something weird or like Ex Machina type thing that
I've
happens.
not seen Ex Machina, but in
No.
general,
No, like the
what is this another?
do
What am I talking about?
Ex Machina. It just means that like something happens all of a sudden and it makes it so that everything turns
Oh,
out okay.
I don't know. I don't know that
That's what-
phrase.
That's what that means. And this, and so like older movies are like first act, introduction, second act, build up, third act, the actual final big thing
Yeah.
happens.
Well, this is what I would say about this movie, though. It was first act, introduction to a whole new world. Second act, long, boring, weird. Why is this happening? What is this? What is going on? I remember just saying, like, what is happening? It was like confusing, but not in a way that ever really solved itself. There was just a bunch of random stuff happening. And then third act, action, excitement.
Well,
That's
it's like-
my problem.
and
Is the
also-
middle of the movie was boring.
At that time, that like future, like the sky, like the cityscapes and stuff like that, and
Yeah,
the
which we've seen a
futuristic
million
signs
of.
and things that were going on down in the thing. They wanted to show all of that because it was really cool for the time.
Yeah, and it
Like-
looks like right now it looks like a dated version of like Fifth Element or something, where it's like a little brighter and stuff.
Yeah,
but it's
it
like
was
the big tall buildings and the flying cars.
But
and,
yeah, and the big pyramid that it shows like slowly scanning
which is funny
up
because
to.
Fifth Element is super dated now too.
Well, yeah.
But yeah, like the giant woman's face on the side of the building.
Right. And so now you would like cut all of those scenes in half, basically,
Yeah, because people have seen it, been there, done that.
they just want
You just
they're
show
just going to show
scan
you
over
the
it,
story.
yeah.
Everything that would be happening in this movie, if it were made now, would just be the story, and it would be a half an hour
Well-
shorter and probably a lot better.
Well, and that's the problem too. There was virtually no character development in this, like except for maybe a little bit of him. So you got a little bit of like where he's coming from, and a tiny bit of where the bad guy's coming from, or the robot, where he's like, "I just want to be."
You want to know why
fixed."
that is?
Why?
He has no friends.
To talk to.
He has no one to talk to.
That's true, but he's doing a voiceover. I just also, well, okay, fine. He has no friends, but he does apparently have a girlfriend.
Because
And
well,
this-
he's like still kind of he's a little tiny bit Harrison Fordy. So like, for like Han Solo and Indiana
Yeah.
Jones, he's got a little bit of that in him, but it only comes out in like the, 3 minutes that he's interacting with other people in this movie.
Okay, well, so relationships. This is my biggest complaint of the whole thing. His relationship with the robot, Rachel, was stupid. It didn't make any sense. There was absolutely no development or like build up or any reason to believe these people had chemistry. It was just like he did the test on her to see if she was a robot. Then afterwards he was like, whoa, she didn't know she was a robot, but she is a robot. And then she comes to his house and is like, so I'm a robot, huh? Or she's like, so I'm not a robot. And he's like, yeah, you are. She's like, oh, crap. And she leaves. Okay, this is literally what happens. And then she comes back and he tries to seduce her, I guess, but she's like, I'm leaving. And she starts to leave and he slams the door and will not let her leave. She tries again. He slams the door again, shoves her against the wall, and then in the most rapey way possible is like, tell me to kiss you. And she's like, kiss me? And he's like, tell me to kiss you again. And she's like, kiss me? And he's like, tell me that you want me. And she's like, I want you.
Swear to
It's like-
me.
it's so awkward. It's so weird. And I don't know what the director was thinking or the writer or whoever decided that was a good thing. And I don't know. I know it's a long time ago. And like I was saying to you, Charlie, is that nowadays, especially within the last 5 to 10 years, there's been a lot of public service announcements about like, hey, consent's important. And just because,
Just
a
'cause she's a
girl
robot.
does have sex with you doesn't mean she wanted to. She could have felt intimidated, perhaps Harrison Ford or his character. Like she was clearly intimidated. It was super weird. And then at the end, when he sees that she's still alive, I think he even says, tell me that you love me. At the end, too.
He
Or
said,
he says, do you love me? Okay. So finally he asks her for her opinion. And she's like,
He did have a gun in his
yeah,
hand when he said
I
that,
love
though.
you. And then they run off together. Oh, he says, and then he says, do you trust me? And she's like, yeah. And I'm like, why? Why do you trust him?
Again, that one's just a thing of the time. The rape thing, well, the
The rapey thing was
rapiness
so weird, though, because I've seen lots of
is
movies
not,
from the 80s.
But
and the rapey thing was weird.
I don't know,
That
there's
was
probably
a
some
poor
weird
decision.
subtext that they were trying
That
to
was a poor decision. I think they
get
were.
across.
I think that a lot of people, especially earlier on, like back in the day, in the 80s or whatever, I think a lot of people thought like, oh, it's sexy. It's kind of like the 50 Shades of Grey. It's like, oh, it's sexy. But I'm assuming, and I don't know because I would never watch 50 Shades of Grey, but I'm assuming there's some consent in that. Like she consents to it feeling like it's forced and dangerous.
Yeah.
But this, it's just like, that's not sexy. That's really creepy. So I couldn't get past that. That really ruined it for me. And I think it was supposed to be so romantic at the end. Like in fact, what he said at the end would have been so romantic if they had given us any character development between the two and actually showed them getting to know each other or laughing together. Like she could have actually gone out and had a drink with him like he asked, and they could have laughed.
And then
got to know
he
each
could
other.
have taken her on all of his Indiana Jones-esque adventures that always
Sure.
have that where he always has a girl behind him.
Yeah, he could have done something, just something to show that, oh, he got to know her and they connected on a personal level, not just we're
We're all
both
of your
attractive people,
adventures,
so we
Harrison
should be
Ford.
together. That's what it was like. It's like we're both attractive people, so we should be together, and we're both completely alone. So
I got to get one of those coats though that he's wearing.
okay, but hang on.
With
So
that
at the
big,
very
giant
end, he
popped
does say
collar.
the thing that I thought was interesting too, is he said the other cop spared her life. He figured she only has 4 years. What's the harm? But what he doesn't know is she has more than that because she's a special new model or whatever. And he says the really interesting line. He says, how long we'll have together, I don't know, but that's something that you'll never know,
Right.
no matter who you're with. And I like that. Like if she would have had the 4-year time limit, you would know exactly. And that would be a terrible way to live.
So
but
you
not knowing
wanted-
when you're going to die makes her more human.
You wanted the romance to be more front and center in this.
Well, or just either
Because-
have it or don't.
Because I will give you this, it's
Have
kind
it or
of the
don't.
reason that he is so guilty and wants to not do this anymore
is
so
it?
badly.
Because I think he already quit for a reason. But
No,
we
he
don't
did.
know. 'cause
He
they
already
didn't
quit
give
because
us
he was just like,
anything.
I'm sick of this. I killed all these things and they
Yeah.
looked like people.
But that's the
and
thing.
it's-
I'm just saying, like, I don't necessarily think that the romance should have been front and center. I just think that the story needed to be better developed and there needed to be more character development. I need to see his character grow through the process.
You
I
want
didn't see that.
You want to know what I wanted? I wanted the main bad guy
Yeah.
who he had that final thing with to have already gotten away from him twice before that happened.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, because it was weird that like the first
Because
time
the
he sees them, he
reason-
kills them. He never got to see any of them.
Well, that's
more
his
than
job.
once. I know, but
The reason that guy fights him at the end and doesn't run away is because the guy who created him already told him that it would be impossible to make you live longer. And so he just
Yeah,
doesn't
that's
care.
true.
He's just like, I'm just taking out my
yeah, that could have been
anger.
some chase scenes or whatever. Yeah, and I think it's because he was so upset that his love died, even though she was going to die soon anyway.
That girl was crazy.
Yeah, she was interesting. I was more interested in her character than a lot of the others. That's all I think, is that it was a really cool concept. Big picture concept was really cool, poorly executed, and but that leads to what's coming next, and will this next Blade Runner fix all of the mistakes because it's made today and we have years of experience to add to it.
Probably.
Like we can look back and see how it could have been better, and maybe they'll make it better.
Well, it's an interesting thing because like Ridley Scott directed this.
Yeah.
And he's directed all of these other classic movies that are very good.
Yeah.
And a lot of people say that he's not really like a very exceptional director.
Okay. He just picks good stories. Or something?
He gets good stories.
That's
so
possible.
Good writing. So like, because there's.
But I do love Minority Report.
He didn't do that.
Oh, damn it.
Who
Who did Minority Report?
Philip K. Dick wrote the short story
dang
based
it.
on.
Okay, I got that
Minority
mixed
Report.
up. Never mind.
But Ridley Scott, so like he has Alien, The Martian, and Gladiator, and all this stuff,
Fair
and
enough.
they're all like really great, interesting, unique stories that he just kind of is like.
Here's the story, and he
Yeah.
just puts it out there, and that's why it's good.
And so like a lot of people say that, and I mean I kind of it's hard not to agree, even though he's made all of these great movies.
Well, yeah, like I haven't seen Alien, but I have seen Gladiator.
Well, Alien and
I have
Aliens
seen
are probably his two best movies. Maybe The Martian.
The Martian. The Martian, I feel like was directed well. The Gladiator was so long that I think I've seen it 3 times, and I think I fell asleep every single time, which I don't do during movies. That's not something I do. Fell asleep every single time, but
so
at different
long.
points of the movie. So I think that if you piece it all together, I've seen it all. But so therefore, is it great directing? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. Couldn't keep me awake. But it's
All
a good
right.
story.
Well, so Blade Runner overall, it was a little dull, but I think that's just because we're younger and it's an older movie.
But
and I think that if it were to be made right now instead of back then, that it would be great.
Oh, if you mean
If they were to
with all the
modernize
knowledge
it.
we have, yeah, modernize it. Yeah, and I mean it's kind of funny because it was made at the very beginning of the 80s. So it's funny that like all of the stuff in the future still had like the worst, like what would be considered the worst screens ever, and like old school like chunky cards, and like
Well,
the
I love
computer
the,
stuff is so dated, and it's supposed to be basically today.
The
It's supposed to be
thing
present time. It's
I
like
loved
2019.
Was when he put the picture, like the physical picture, into that machine.
Yeah.
And it was like this amazing. So it had the little tiny screen, but it was this like amazing
and it was like
technology
a square TV
that
too.
could zoom into like the tiniest reflection in like a
yeah,
piece
in
of
a mirror
glass
or whatever. Yeah.
on this person and onto her face, and then he hits print and it prints it out, and it's like a really crappy blurry
Yeah,
Polaroid of it.
Exactly. I was like, what the heck?
So I thought it was kind of cool though, and I hope that they do that in the next movie because it's kind of like a really
Well, in the next
interesting
movie, though, surely it would have changed a lot because the next movie is what,
30.
30?
No, it's 30 years later.
Oh, 30 years later. Okay. I was going to say the name of it. Okay. So 30 years later. So surely it's not going to be the same.
Right.
But yeah, that was interesting. So, okay. So it's dated, but in fairness, I like a lot of 80s movies. Now, this was the early 80s, but I like a lot of 80s action movies and a lot of 80s sci-fi movies and early 90s sci-fi movies.
They were trying to be different. This
Yes.
is not this is not an action movie at all.
But there are movies, modern movies, that remind me of this, and I think the same thing about them, where I'm like, it was a little boring. Like, it had a good concept, like the movie Double. That movie
that's
with
a little strange.
What's that guy's name?
Jesse Eisenberg.
Jesse Eisenberg. It's a movie with Jesse Eisenberg, super indie, sci-fi, takes place in a world with no sunshine again, and it is weird. It's very weird, and yet I love the big concept. And afterwards, I was like, that was kind of boring. And I could never watch it again. I'm glad I saw it because the concept was interesting, but I could never watch it again. And that's a modern movie. But it's like this one. And that's how I feel about this. I would never watch this again.
Well, let's move on to the trailer for
The
Blade Runner
trailer.
2049.
Yeah, this is where it gets good, hopefully.
So it looks pretty awesome,
Yeah.
in my opinion.
Well, I would say that it looks much better.
Well, it's like, I mean, I think it's kind of everything we just talked about is, fixed in this. However, it does kind of look like it could be boring in similar ways.
Yeah, well, I would say this. Stylistically, I think they did a wonderful job of making it look 30 years later. Like, it still looks like it's in their world. It's very gray. They have the floating ships. Everything's still really dark, but somehow in a more, modern looking way. Just barely. Just 30 years modern.
Yeah.
They have, instead of the giant face on the side of the wall, they have a more of a hologram type figure. And they keep showing her over and over again, and she's bright. I thought that was interesting because the only thing that was really bright at all in this movie, in the movie we just watched, was the Asian woman's face on the wall.
Well, no,
there
they
wasn't
also
a lot
had
of other bright things.
They had the stuff that they showed in this, where they had all of the random like neon stuff.
Yeah, but yeah, you're
Especially
right.
when
I just
when
feel
he
like
shot
there's
the
more
girl
of
in the
it
back,
this.
she like ran through a hallway that was like lined with neon lights, and it was really cool.
Yeah, it still looked dark in a way though.
It was because it's
That's
all
the
just
thing.
it's black, gray, and brown with like random neon lights going on.
But I thought that this was a little brighter in that way. Also, it clearly is going to show somewhere else because there was like a very brief glimpse of like forest.
No, it was like desert.
No. There was desert, and then did
Because
you
that's
not
where
see
Harrison
it?
Ford was.
But did you not see it? There was a very brief glimpse of forest. It was
I
like
don't know.
green, like bright, like they were running through a door into like a green foresty looking
Maybe that's
area.
part of creepy Jared Leto's estate.
Maybe.
See, and that's kind of what I want in a villain. Is like for you to start off, this guy's evil and creepy, and the good guy's gonna have to go get him in the end.
Yeah.
And maybe I'm a traditionalist. Maybe that's what I like.
Well, okay, so Jared Leto, he's the creepy guy who's now, I guess, the one making the robots. I'm sorry, I keep forgetting what they're called.
Replicants?
Replicants. Okay, I'll remember. I said it 3 times. So the replicants, he's making the replicants now. And also, one thing I was confused about, even in this movie, is why do they keep making replicants if they're not allowed on Earth? And why are they making them on Earth?
Well, I think that
I'm
so
confused.
we were talking about how basically halfway through the movie we discovered or remembered or finally realized that all of the people on Earth are basically poor and desolate. And
oh, yeah, because they said
everyone,
something.
and
like,
everyone else has
you're left
moved
here.
on to space. Pretty
Sure.
much. And so
So the replicants are also up in space, though.
No,
That's
but,
what I don't
like,
get.
this guy that like the guy at Tyrell Industries
Uh-huh.
or whatever, I think he's just like goofing around for fun.
Okay, so he shouldn't be making them on
Right.
Earth because they're not allowed, which is why they were like, you're still going to have to kill the girl he made.
Yeah.
Okay, so perhaps.
And
Cool.
so maybe in the future everyone's just moved on. Just like no one cares if they're making more replicants because it's like the
it's
Wild
clearly,
West.
yeah, I don't know. Maybe. So it's interesting, though. So Jared Leto's character
Jared
seems very
Leto
creepy.
Squeezing people out of that bag that hangs from the ceiling.
Yeah, and then it shows him in the replicants all covered in goo, and he's like,
Why am I dripping
happy
with goo?
birthday. And it's so creepy.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's cool. That's interesting.
And here's where we get to find out if Jared Leto's a good actor again or just a jackass.
I think he is a good actor. I think that
He was really good
he's
in
also a
Dallas
jackass.
Buyers
He
Club.
can be both.
And he was fine in Fight Club.
Yeah,
And
I
that-
agree with that.
The 2 club movies.
But I'm just saying he can be a really good
Unfortunate
actor
that
and
this
a
isn't
jackass.
called Blade Runner Club, or else he would be great in it.
Oh gosh. But yeah, okay, so he's in it. He looks like he's gonna be an interesting villain character. Harrison Ford looking real old.
He's like 74
I know
years old.
he is real old, and he's still a badass. I'm not saying he's not, but looking real old. But we did just see him
30
from
years ago.
Yeah, 30 years ago.
Well,
so,
35 years ago.
So, in fairness, he's aged a bit. However, there is
Approximately
one
35
scene
years.
where he and Ryan Gosling are running, and then like they break through and they have to turn around, and it's like Ryan Gosling looks like he's sprinting, and Harrison Ford looks like he's like jogging. I was like, he looks
can't
so
move.
pathetic.
He's 70.
in this.
What do you want from
I
him?
know. So why are they trying to have him do actiony stuff? Have him sit at the bar and talk to Ryan and answer his questions. Have him do that. But I am curious. Do you think, because I was wondering about this, that they will have the actress that plays the girl? Is she alive?
I doubt it.
I wonder about her. Or will they have somebody pretend to be her? Or will they at least tell us what happened to her? Because the
wonder
whole
if-
thing is they didn't know how long she would live. What if she lived just as long as Harrison Ford
Well,
or his character? You know, like she
she'd
could
probably live longer, I
potentially,
guess, right?
based on the story, she could potentially still be alive in this
Yes,
movie.
but I doubt that she is, and
and
I
if
also
she is, she probably wouldn't be the actress.
I doubt that Harrison Ford is in this entire thing, and I also bet he
Oh.
dies.
Oh, he's
And-
probably not in it very much. Whether or not he dies, I don't think really matters.
I was thinking about
But
that
he's probably not
earlier.
in it very much.
About how it's like super sad because like Harrison Ford played all of these like iconic roles,
Yeah.
and he's going to have to like go through them one by one and die in all.
He doesn't have to.
Because like I bet he dies in
But-
this. He died in Star Wars.
No, you can't do that. That is a spoiler.
What?
You can't just say that.
What?
That is a spoiler.
That he died in Star
Yes,
Wars?
That's a spoiler.
Who
That's
hasn't
a
seen
year
Star
ago.
Wars?
That's a year ago. It's not several years ago. I'm sorry, folks. I hope that you've seen Star Wars for your sake.
Oh,
If
also,
you haven't, it's still worth a watch.
yeah.
The
I mean,
Force Awakens.
okay.
I just can't believe you just released a spoiler like that. But yeah, okay.
Kylo Ren is his son.
Oh my God. It's too late now. But no, he doesn't
Darth
die.
Vader is Luke Skywalker's dad.
Stop it. He doesn't die in the fourth Indiana Jones movie, does he?
I bet in the fifth one he's going to.
Oh, please don't make a fifth one.
But you're gonna make a fifth one. He's
Don't
gonna be
do
like
it.
87 years old, and
No.
they're just gonna like the opening scene is going to be like Nazis break into his hospital bed and shoot him in the stomach.
Okay, so anyway, I think this one definitely looks better. Ryan Gosling, I think, is a good character to play the Harrison Ford type character because we've all seen him in Drive, where he's very like he
Yeah.
doesn't talk a lot.
Hey, that's kind of
He has
a similar
that feel.
mood, man.
Well, he has that feel where he doesn't say a lot, but when he does, it's important, you know? So that'll be interesting. However, I think that Ryan Gosling might be a robot and not know it.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
I mean, here's the thing about stuff like this, is that anyone could just be.
oh
a
yeah,
robot.
anyone could, and that's what's fun about these.
Like
movies.
I think Jared
You're
Leto might
guessing
be
the
a
whole
robot
time.
because he had the creepy eyes.
Well, yeah, and especially since you've seen Westworld,
Yeah.
people who are robots may not know they're robots, and they might be making other robots. You never know.
Oh wow, we're just full of spoilers today.
That's
aren't
not
we?
a spoiler. That's a they might be. I said they might be, and I left it very vague on names. But no, okay. So I think we can both agree it definitely looks better. I am glad we watched the original because I feel like that will make this fun and will make me want to go see this. And if this isn't good, it isn't good. But like I said, the big picture concept of the entire universe that this man created, the writer, is good. And so I want to give it a chance. And I'm excited about it.
Yeah, I love the idea of like.
I like the 30 years later
Yeah.
making a movie, having it set 30 years later from when it was set before. You know, like I like that. You and I are, neither of us are huge fans of just making a bunch of sequels. Like we'd like some original content. However, sequels can be original. It's when you completely reboot that it's kind of annoying.
Well, and also, oh yeah, I forgot to tell you. You might have saw it on there. Also, you may have seen it on there as well. But they booted Ridley Scott.
I might have saw it on there.
So Ridley Scott has an executive producer
Oh, he's not
role,
directing.
but the guy who's directing it is the guy who directed Sicario and Arrival.
Whoa.
And he's
Whoa. We love
amazing.
those movies.
He's amazing.
We love those movies.
And I think that Sicario does what the original Blade Runner was trying to do super well.
Like,
where they
what do you
just
mean?
where they just have like these long moments where either nothing is happening
Or something's happening,
something's
but people
about to
aren't
happen
talking.
or, whatever that this movie wanted to do, and he's super good at it.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I like that because I think that the directing is going to be difficult because I think you have the challenge of making it fit the same mood of the first movie but not being boring. And I think he could do it.
Yeah. I don't think it's that hard. It's good. Like I said, they show that pyramid again, in the trailer.
Yes.
I bet that's all they show. I bet they don't linger on that for, 10 seconds
Yeah.
like they did in this one.
Yeah, I think it'll be interesting. Do you want to talk about where, when, and how we're going to see the movie?
I would love to.
Where? When? How?
Are you going to see this movie?
Okay, so I do think that I'm definitely going to see this movie. So how, where, when? That is the question. I think that I
Who?
could definitely end up seeing this movie in theater if there's nothing else out and we got nothing going on.
I think it comes out in October.
Okay, so I could very likely see this movie because I feel like not a lot's going on in October. Usually we don't have any vacation days because you're saving them all up for the holidays. And it's been a long time since your last vacation day. Winter is upon us. The sky is dark. And you just want to go see a movie. So I could very likely see this.
And you don't like horror movies, and that's when all the good horror movies come
You're
out.
right. You're right. A lot of times October is a very dull movie month for me. So I could see us going to see this in theater just to get out, braving the cold, walking to Alamo, or just driving somewhere warmer. I could see us driving to the Cinemark. Let's drive to the Cinemark for this one.
Is that warmer?
Yeah, because you don't have to
It's like
walk.
15 minutes away.
Here's the thing. We have to walk.
I thought you meant
No, I'm just talking about Alamo Drafthouse.
like
because
Texas
we live so
or
close.
California.
Because we live so close to Alamo Drafthouse, it is ridiculous. We have to walk. If we drove, we'd probably have trouble finding a parking spot and have to walk anyway. So you got to walk. It's a good 10-minute walk at least
Yeah.
in the cold. So I'm just saying, get in the car. Let's drive to Cinemark.
We did go see Rogue One, though, when it was a blizzard.
Snowing out, but it was gorgeous.
And it was
What
worth
a happy
it, too.
day. Yeah, totally worth it. This movie, I don't know if it'll be worth walking in the snow for.
No, probably not.
So I say, let's just hop in a car, drive to Cinemark, and shout out to Cinemark.
Yeah.
I like their theaters, and I'll watch it there. I think that'd be fun, especially on a weekend in October.
And also, there's not going to be any rowdy Blade Runner fans.
Oh, probably not.
There's no way.
I mean, maybe.
There's no way. No,
Probably
because
not.
Think about that movie we just watched.
Yeah, even if you're a huge Blade
if you're
Runner
a
fan,
huge Blade Runner fan,
I don't think you'd be ruining it for us.
and Harrison Ford shows up on the screen, you're not going to go, woo!
Yeah,
Blade
probably
Runner.
not. You're going to be quietly waiting to see what he says because you're actually excited and
Also,
you're not
he-
just a
He
fanboy.
speaks very softly.
Yeah, where, when, how? Where? Cinemark. When? Weekend. Anytime on the weekend. How? I don't know. Just in the theater, man.
I want to go at night.
Yeah, I could see that.
I want to go at night to a theater, and I want to get there super early so that I can sit in the back.
I like sitting smack dab in the middle.
I know you love the middle.
when we're
but
at a Cinemark theater.
recently, I have discovered that I like sitting in the backs of theaters.
That only is at
I'm-
Alamo.
Because I've done it
different,
before.
trust me.
I did it with Nightcrawler when I was by myself.
That was a long time ago.
I did it.
And that was probably in Columbia.
Yeah,
Different
it was.
theaters.
I did it with a few other things, and I'm not gonna, if the whole group wants to be in the middle, I get being
The whole
wanting to
group
be in the
always
middle.
wants to be in
I
the middle.
understand.
The middle's the best spot.
I get it, but for
Why
me,
do you think it always gets taken up?
If I had my choice, I would sit in the back.
Here's the thing. I think that you're mistaken. I think you're forgetting how big the AMC and Cinemark theaters are. Because here's the thing.
I don't
If
like
it's
to
a
have to
smaller
move
theater-
my head to see
You don't have
the
to. if
left
you're-
to the right.
If it's a big theater and it goes far enough back.
I have very sunken eye
You can
sockets.
even
I
sit-
can't.
Listen, you can even sit in the center, but closer to the back, a little closer to the back. So just a little further back than center.
Well, I'm not talking about
but
like
you sit in the
straight
back, row. That's too much.
but just like the last.
when I
4
sit in the back
rows.
row, all I can think about the whole movie is the people's heads that I can see everybody's heads, and I hate that.
I want to be able to see everyone's
Here's
heads
the
so
thing.
that I don't get attacked.
Oh my god. Oh my god. Yeah, but you're further away from the emergency exits.
Well, but I don't want to be attacked from the back.
Anyway.
I don't want to be like, ooh,
Okay.
Ryan Gosling.
And then somebody,
Bam!
the
Brick
guy
to the
sitting
head.
behind you just hits you in the face.
that'd be
Just puts his popcorn over your head.
that'd be a reach
No,
around punch.
Nonetheless, I'm just saying, in the smaller theater, I think the back row is better. In a bigger theater, the back row is too far away. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
But anyway.
But we digress. So we both want to see it in theater. So I think that's cool.
So let's move on to some Rotten Tomato percentages.
Let's do it.
Rotten Tomatoes percentages. So Rotten Tomatoes. This is interesting. Okay.
Okay.
Because I feel like since Blade Runner is so critically loved,
Okay. I was going to say I have no idea what it was rated.
I don't know what it gets on Rotten Tomatoes, but I know that people
You know that people love it, yeah.
it.
But that just might be a certain group of critics, like the people who really love sci-fi.
Anyway,
Go on.
I think that if it's good at all, that it'll get really high.
Okay.
But if it's bad at all, it'll get super low.
Okay, but you gotta pick one. You gotta make that call right now,
I don't know.
based
I don't
on
know
the
if-
trailer.
I don't
That's
know
what
if
we do.
they would give a movie that has Ryan Gosling in it under 40%.
Well, what do you think?
I'm gonna say 80. 80 from
Oh, wow.
critics. I'm gonna
You
say
were just wondering about 40%.
no, yeah,
and
because
you
that's what
jumped-
I said. That middle
I get it.
40%, it's not gonna happen. I'm gonna say 80 from critics and 64 from audience.
Okay, strange, odd. It's so hard for me because it's hard for me to gauge because I didn't like the first one very much, but it is weird because I'm going to see it. That's the thing. Usually I would not go and see this movie, but because I saw the first one, I have to go see it now. So I'm going to say that it does pretty well, but people who loved the original will love this. And other people who maybe are seeing Blade Runner for the first time will be like, oh, that was interesting. So I'm going to say it gets a 76 from critics because it'll be like, oh, it was an interesting way to continue the story. You know, it was a good time. But I don't think they're going to be like, oh, my God, it was revolutionary. Probably not. And then audience,
Probably not.
I'm going to say the audience will give it a 69. The audience will also like it. They'll like it. But, you know, I don't see it being an 80% movie. But, you
Now
know
here's
what?
the real test.
We might be blown away. That's
First
what's
of all,
always exciting about this.
I think there's going to be a Gosling voiceover in this throughout the whole thing.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Second
I'm
of
cool
all,
with that.
who do you as a lady rather listen to in a voiceover? A young Harrison Ford in his prime or Ryan Gosling in his prime?
Ryan Gosling, because he's not going to hopefully do the cheesy thing.
No. I'm just saying just voice.
Okay, but I know what Harrison Ford does in a voiceover, and it's...
Okay, so you're just trying to
I
get
looked
out
at
of
the
it.
guy. No. Okay, first of all, Ryan Gosling.
You like Ryan Gosling's tiny little voice more than Harrison Ford's hilarious voice.
Because it's hard to say because he doesn't use his regular voice. He uses his regular voice when he's talking to people in the movie, and then he uses his weird, like, you know, transatlantic detective noir movie.
That's what Ridley Scott told him to do, I'm sure.
I know, I'm sure, and I bet he felt. That's the thing too. I felt like he felt like an idiot doing it. That's the whole time he was talking, I felt like he was not into it. He wasn't enjoying doing that voice.
Apparently he's super into this though. Like apparently he's like really believes in
The
Blade
story?
Runner, unlike, you know, some of the other things that he's
Yeah.
been forced to do.
Yeah,
So that's kind of cool.
that is cool.
So he might like give it all he's got in this.
I hope so. I think he'll be cool. I think old Harrison Ford is awesome. I think he's still a
just
great
not
actor.
at running.
I think he's still a great actor. It's not running's not his strong suit right now.
Yeah, it's fine.
That's fine.
You're a 70-year-old
no,
man.
I'm just saying I think
He'll
he's
be
still a
okay.
great actor. I also think Ryan Gosling is a great actor. You know, they were both known for being attractive, but they also were both great actors.
Ryan Gosling didn't have me 100% until Nice Guys, and now he's, yeah.
And I still haven't seen Nice Guys. Dang. But yeah, Ryan Gosling, he's blown me away in a couple of things.
Yeah, there's the rom-com, the Crazy Stupid Love.
Crazy
which he's
Stupid
really
Love,
good in.
he's so good.
Nice Guys, he's amazing in.
There's that weird movie, Lars and the Real Girl.
Oh yeah, he's good in
He's
that.
great in that. There's something else.
There's that Beyond the Pines
Oh,
something or
I
other
don't want to see that. That doesn't look good
that
to me.
he's like, I think won some sort of awards for.
Yeah, but I heard that movie was
and
bad.
I want to see. Okay, I have no idea what it's called.
Oh, Drive. He was in Drive.
Oh yeah, Drive is awesome. Sorry, I have no idea what it's called, but it's got a very bad rating,
Okay. And he's in it?
and he's in it, and it's like the only thing I can remember about it is every time I saw the screenshot for it, it was like him in like a kung fu pose with
Oh.
like bathed in like pink
I know
neon
which
light.
movie you're talking about. Exactly. I remember.
And I wanted to see it so bad because of just that scene and that
And he's
shot.
in like Japan or something, and he's
I
there
don't
the
know,
whole time.
Tokyo, probably.
And you know, it's interesting because I remember specifically sending you a BuzzFeed article about that. It was like a BuzzFeed article about a bunch of movies that no one's talking about but you should see. And that
I
was
looked
one
it
of
up,
them.
and it had a really bad rating, but I just kept thinking about how awesome it looked.
It's one of those where it's probably not good at all, but there's probably some really cool scenes.
It's probably crazy slow, just like this one. It's
Yeah.
probably crazy
Yeah.
slow. He doesn't say anything the whole time, and then there's
I
like
think
an insane third act.
I do think that Ryan Gosling really likes very artsy movies.
Yeah, which is
Because
cool.
Drive is very stylistic. Lars and the Real Girl is weird.
Like, I like that about
He's
him.
in Blue Valentine, which is one of the worst movies I've ever seen, but he does a good job in it.
Well,
His
but
character is good. It's just
it's-
a terrible movie.
It depresses you.
It's not. There's no redeeming qualities.
Well, but it's not like a really
would-
poorly made movie.
But you know how like tragedies.
because that one has high ratings.
You know how like back in the day, like Shakespeare Day.
Oh, Shakespeare Day.
Yeah, Shakespeare Day.
Happy
There
Shakespeare
were like
Day.
tragedies and there were comedies, right? The comedies were happy, the tragedies were sad. But still there was something you could take from the tragedies. Romance or, a lesson. And this was just like, isn't it terrible how some people's marriages just fall apart and are awful and people are terrible to each other? The end. I got nothing from it. Nothing except agony.
I like Ryan Gosling for being in those types of
Yeah,
movies.
he's interesting. He takes on smaller
like
projects.
I
like him.
even though he's awesome and I think he's great, I never want to see him in a Marvel movie.
No. Nope. Don't want to see it.
I don't think he wants to do
I'll
a Marvel
close my
movie,
eyes.
and
I
I
will
don't
not
think they
watch.
want him. But I don't ever want to see
Yeah,
him.
I
in
mean, there's some people. I mean, I have been really surprised by some of the people that Marvel has taken in, and I've been like, I don't know about that, like Paul Rudd. But then he was great at that character. So I have to trust that Marvel knows what it's doing because they keep doing the right thing.
Almost every
But like
single
Brie
person,
Larson, that surprised the crap out of me because she also takes on small artsy projects,
almost every single person that they get has a comedic background.
except for Brie Larson.
Super bad. I mean,
Okay,
not super
so
bad.
hang
21 Jump Street.
Okay, so she was in a comedy once.
That was the first thing I ever saw.
Yeah, but
her in.
she's not a comedian.
But she
is
has a
not
comedic
comedian.
background.
Just because she was in a comedy doesn't mean she has a comedic
Robert Downey
background.
Jr. He was on SNL for a season.
Yeah, that's a comedic background. Brie Larson does not come from a comedic background.
Why not?
She was a tiny side character in one comedy.
That was like her first big movie.
Yeah, but that's the big movie that you get because you're a starving actor and you need to get a job, and so you get whatever role you can. You're a small character, but if you
The
do
movie
it.
that you get as a starving actor is a big budget comedy with
Yes.
Jonah Hill and Channing
Yes,
Tatum.
because actors just keep trying until they finally get their break. That was her break. That doesn't mean that that's her thing.
It is kind of cool that she's the most famous actor in that movie now.
I guess so.
I would
Is
say
she?
so.
I don't know.
Why not?
I mean, Channing Tatum hasn't done anything really in a while, but he's still probably more famous than Brie Larson.
Well,
He's
he's a goof.
the
though.
best
He's not
actor
like,
now. She's known as being the best actor from that
yes,
film.
she's the most valued actor in that movie.
Yes.
Highest valued actor. If you were to remake that
Absolutely.
movie, she would get paid the most.
If you were to look, and if you were just to look at like best actors, young actors in Hollywood right now, she would be higher than them probably.
she'd probably be first on the list.
Wow. Tell us how you really feel.
She's awesome.
Yeah, she is great. She's great. All right. Well, I mean, I think that's all we got for you. I hope you guys enjoyed this very special episode.
Very special, very long.
It's a little longer for those of you who are avid listeners. I hope you stayed with us. If you like this kind of breaking format, doing something a little different,
Let us know.
hearing us chat about a movie, let us know at MTT Podcast on Twitter.
That's our Twitter handle.
Follow us, like us on Facebook, Movie
Yeah.
Trailer Trash Podcast.
I think you could follow also. I don't really know the difference.
You can follow, but just like us. You like us. Also, if you liked this format, please check us out on Patreon. You can just type in Movie Trailer Trash and we come up, click on our logo and see what we got. Again, as little as $1 and you can get special episodes. And
I throw $1 in the street.
Charlie would throw $1 in the street.
I just did. Threw it out the window.
Okay. And if you can throw $5, if you can spare $5, then you'll get to hear some extra episodes that are a lot more like this one. So check it out.
Absolutely. And as always, like and subscribe and stuff to Entertainment Buffet, to their YouTube channel. Follow them on Twitter at Entertain Buffet. And also go and rate and review us on iTunes.
Please. And on Facebook. Now that we're on there, you can give us stars.
That's important to me. And
it'll mean a lot to
I base
us.
my life worth on it.
It'll mean a lot to us.
So
it's
keep
okay.
that in mind.
Charlie's a happy guy. You're not in control of his happiness. It's fine.
But you could
But-
be if you
but-
wanted.
But yeah, help us out.
All right. This needs to end.
Yeah, this will end. So we'll see you guys next time.
Bye, Blade Runner Club.